She is. I see Mark Luxman. Ready for business. Charlene is there. Bob and Sunny. Polly. Lois. Joni. Hello. Hello, Bob. All right. We're together. We're getting ready for Passover. It's the beginning of March. Very unusual, but it turns out Rosh Hashanah is on August 3rd. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. It's Labor Day weekend. So,
Cantor.
Yeah. Suhasini, have we started? Are we streaming yet? No? We are. Will you play that amazing clip that Cantor Kates put together for us to bring us into this space?
Absolutely.
All right. Everybody hold on.
Here it comes. Hold your
Sweet and spicy, sweet and spicy. It's the sweet and spicy hour.
Boom. Wonderful. Well, we are so excited to be with you with this special Passover main dish edition. And it is hard to believe that Passover is upon us. It is literally at the end of this month. And every year, you know, we have this blessing of coming together, and food is such a central part of our experience. And, you know, it is for the Israelites as well. And actually, in a way, they kind of go backwards with their food, because they start with some regular things that they know and are familiar, and then they're liberated, they're thrown out into the wilderness, and they basically just have manna for the most part. They're just kind of having this honeycomb-like coriander substance that's sustaining them. And that would not be enough for us to celebrate Passover. Now we have meats and veggies, and we do all sorts of things with matzah. And that is the reminder of our bread of affliction. If you ever really eat matzah for 7 days, you really have a taste of affliction. And we decided tonight not to focus on matzah, but to focus on mains. And this year, we're kind of, you know, often a meat is the classic main. And so we're delighted to have Larry Sterling, who is kind of the pit master for LBT men. He often is cooking up tri-tip, or this very meal he's made for us before. He's often at the helm for Passover. He is, you know, he's kind of a Renaissance man. He's like, you know, into the art. He's into theater. He loves music. He can cook. I've never actually spent time with Larry on a dance floor, but I imagine he's pretty smooth. That's my sense. Anyways, maybe that will be our next sweet and spicy. We'll have him on for that. And so he's going to be doing meat. I'm going to do a little do salmon, and then Cantor Kates is offering a tofu dish. And each one of them are meant to be that you could just make it by yourself if you're on your own this year for Passover, or you could make it to scale. You could make it for a bunch of people. And we're inspired by Cantor Kates. We're going to start with the light, going with tofu into salmon into meat. And with that, I'm just delighted that Cantor Kates is back with us, and she's going to take us on the journey into tofu and Passover.
Yay. Thank you, Rabbi. We are, as Rabbi said, tofu tonight. Now, tofu was what was considered kitniyot. Kitniyot is something that was beans or rice or things that could puff up or be made into a bread like cornbread. And so therefore they were prohibited. And actually kitniyot means lentils. And some of the rabbis thought that lentils, I guess in the long time ago, were for mourners. So you wouldn't want to have the joy of Passover or the season of Passover with lentils. So therefore they were prohibited. Lentils, corn, rice, beans. But now we're able to use all that. So tofu is a soybean. And I'm so happy that we're able to use that. We used to have to just make like vegetable lasagna, you know, with matzah, like a matzah lasagna. Now we have so many things open to us. I like to use, I want to show you. This is my favorite tofu. It is only at Trader Joe's. Oops, it's dripping. It comes in a block. If you use any of the tofus in water, they're really too mushy. So this is a really nice, firm, hard tofu. I cut it into, I cut the whole block in half, and then I cut it into thirds. And then you take a paper towel and you drain it. To get some of the water, you just press the water out. And then I marinated the tofu in soy sauce, turmeric, cumin. I love turmeric and cumin, and soy sauce and garlic on tofu. I do it all the time for breakfast, little squares of tofu. Then we're going to do a little breading. Now for Passover, it's so funny, they didn't have cake flour, matzah cake flour yet in the stores. I got matzah meal, and I got this. It's a potato pancake mix, which was, for Passover, and it had rosemary and something else, garlic and rosemary. It smells delicious. So we're going to throw in the matzah meal, the rosemary and garlic, and we're going to bread our stuff. I also like to add Parmesan. If you feel that you just don't want to eat cheese because it's a vegetarian meal, you don't need the Parmesan. I happen to like Parmesan in some breading. And so here you have the breading. So we're going to take our pieces of tofu that have marinated for about 2-3 hours. You can, I think I said in the recipe, have an egg if you want to dip it in the egg. I don't feel that it needs the egg, but you kind of want to just pat down on the breading. And it's going to look like that, and we're going to put it on the plate. So we're going to bread it, and then we are going to fry it in a little oil. This is so delicious. You could do this anytime for just a quick meal. It doesn't take long. And so let's just start with, I've got 3 of them going. And let's do one more because so this is going to be my dinner tonight. My husband also likes tofu. I love tofu.
And is there any sweetness in that?
No, just garlic, soy. No, there's sweetness in the onions.
Mm-hmm. And you ever try with like sesame oil or a little?
Yes, I have done it Asian. Yes, with sesame oil. I also want to show you just another trick. I don't know if you've seen this in the markets. I love Dora garlic. It's garlic cubes, and it's like a clove of garlic, and it goes right in your marinade. I use it all the time.
And they have ginger, they have basil. Trader Joe's sells it.
Yeah, Rouse has it too.
Okay.
Okay, I am going to switch. I'm going to mute this. Oh, fancy. I am so fancy. Here we go. I'm going to switch.
It's subtle. You wouldn't even know if she hadn't told us, but that boom, there she is.
Ta-da! Ooh.
Yeah, you got to turn off the speaker now. This is the complexity of it all.
Did I turn it off?
Now it's like now it's like a monster truck show. You have to turn the volume down on the other one. I know. And actually, I have wondered if like Cantor Kates has ever like sung the national anthem at a monster truck show, but this could be a prep moment. Okay, she's back.
Okay, I didn't hear anything, so you could have said anything about me because that sound was down. Okay, now are we ready? I feel like I'm such a techie right now. So here's my breaded tofu. I'm going to put it in the pan. It's not sizzling because it's not that hot yet. And any oil that you prefer, we've gone over the oils last time. And I'm going to, while the tofu's frying, I'm going to show you the sauce. Oh, I feel like I'm rushing, but I don't think I need to rush so much. So we're going to fry the tofu. Doesn't that look good, you guys? Is anybody else making this while I'm making this?
I'm taking lessons. I love, we're always like grilling tofu. I usually do like a longer marinade and I like to grill it, but I've never fried it. Sounds very tasty.
That's funny. I don't ever grill it. I saute cubes all the time, put it in it with rice or quinoa, quinoa is another thing that people thought was kidney oat or not, that it's a grain, and quinoa is not a grain. It's actually from a plant.
Yeah.
And I've used it now for many years for Passover. All right, here we go.
Let's be honest here. Where do you stand on rice? I think that's pretty controversial.
So,
Not for me. I'm pro rice because I'm like, why would I look down on my Sephardic brothers and sisters? I want to elevate them by eating rice and being in solidarity. And I didn't even know that was a thing until I was like in my 20s. And then I was like, that's a slam dunk. I'm definitely.
I haven't done rice yet.
Yeah.
Only because I didn't grow up with it. So
I know. I think for some people it's so out there.
yeah, it still feels a little funny.
Do you know why people don't have rice?
That's why?
Do you know why? Because they were worried that the bread, the flour bins, and the rice bins were so close that some of the flour might jump and surprise the rice. But I'm really confident that that's not happening because everybody's gluten-free now. So that would be like, there'd be kids having, attacks in the street if that happens. So they're very careful. So I feel very safe now.
Yeah, you got to be careful with the rice. All right, here are my sauteed onions. They have, they're caramelized with a little sugar and a little thyme, and they smell delicious. So I'm just going to put a little matzah meal in, or matzah flour, and we're going to just make a little kind of paste, like a roux, but we're not going to put cream in. So there you go. It's a little bit of a roux.
Is there butter in your roux?
They're right here in my room.
Is there butter?
No.
No butter.
It's just oil and onions but I could. This is just the recipe. I've never played with the recipe.
Okay.
I've made it 3 times. So now I'm going to add white wine. And it's going to what is it called? Evaporate. There's a word. So it's going to boil down for about a minute. I know there's a fancy cook word, but
I think you're cooking out the alcohol and you're just keeping.
Yeah, it's just boiling out the alcohol and it's going to just reduce. We are reducing it. And while we're doing that, I am turning over. Oh, you should see these tofus. They look delish. So I'm just turning the tofu. It's a lot to do at once. So
how brown do you want it to get?
I'm going to show you. And I'm going to turn down that tofu because it did get a little brown. I happen to like a lot of gravy, so I actually am putting in a little more than they said. It says about 3/4 of a cup of broth. I'm using vegetable broth because it's a vegetable dish, but if you're not really vegetarian and you find a beef broth more tasty or a chicken broth more tasty, by all means use that. And then we're going to throw in the broth and we're going to throw in a little soy sauce. See? Soy sauce. And then the last thing that makes it Passover, I have not done this, but this was my choice to make it more Passover, is the flavor of horseradish. And I thought, wow, that's going to make a really, really good onion and horseradish sauce. So I'm putting about a little, like a tablespoon of horseradish. Wouldn't you know, somebody's calling me. And I'm mixing it all up, and it's going to reduce, and it's going to be amazing.
So I love this Cantor Kates that you're using horseradish in the kind of dressing or sauce for it. It's so smart. And are you a white horseradish type of lady or red?
So this is white. And
Wow.
by the way, I couldn't find
Does that have mayonnaise in it too?
Yeah.
All right, because sometimes there's bottles like that with that kind of horseradish sauce, which honestly is very tasty. I'm very pro horseradish sauce myself. So you could mayonnaise or not.
Show you.
Ooh.
Right now, there's the tofu. It's not too brown, but it's browned. And I will finish the plating at the end, and you'll see that that is going to be so delicious with this amazing sauce. And right now the sauce is reducing. I wish I could show you a little bit more, but here's the sauce. And it's going to reduce, and it's just going to become like an onion gravy. I actually had cremini mushrooms. Is that how you say it?
Cremini, I think.
Cremini.
Potato.
I have those in the fridge, and I think afterwards I'm just going to saute them up too and add them to this onion gravy. And so this is so easy. And then, so if you had vegetarians at your Seder, here's a beautiful tofu dish to share with your vegetarian friends.
Cantor Kates, Judy Wiseman has a question. What if you didn't use tofu? Could you, I guess she's asking, could you use other things instead of tofu?
You can bread a chicken breast, make schnitzel, and put this gravy over it. Sure, anything.
Do you know what I think would be so good, Cantor Kates, just as a kind of flashback to our last session on roast vegetables, I made a massive, like this thick cabbage. It was like a cabbage steak of the red cabbage, and at 400 degrees roasted it. It was like molten and soft like that, or cauliflower. I think your sauce would be fantastic on some roasted cauliflower, brown, caramelized. I might throw some capers in there just to mix it up with horseradish. I think it would work.
Yeah, I'm following the basic recipe, but absolutely, there's so much to play with here. So there you go.
It's
So
my turn.
I am going to send it over to Rabbi Ross, who is going to go crazy with salmon.
I hope, are you gonna send over some tofu, because that looks super tasty. I feel like I'm ready for some of your tofu. I'm back with salmon. I feel like salmon, it's become like the fish of the Jewish people. I don't know why, but like it's very common if you're at a Jewish function that people are eating salmon, and which is good. It's a step up, because for a long time at every luncheon there would always be soggy wraps. And I think that's why a lot of people were leaving our people, because soggy wraps are so upsetting. Salmon, the beauty of salmon is that it's pretty fatty. We can see the kind of ribbons of fat in the salmon. And this is just salmon from Trader Joe's. Honestly, it's not amazing. It's good. I'd say it's good. It's good salmon. There's better salmon out there. But this dish, I think, is very forgiving because of all the fat in the salmon. We know salmon is forgiving to work with. And this dish is actually inspired by my sister, Melissa, who is a really extraordinary cook. And she made this for me once, and I just thought it was so fabulous. It's very quick and easy, flavor forward. It's fun. And I can't even remember if this is really the recipe that she used, but it's kind of one that's emerged over time. A lot of very familiar ingredients we have, and a bunch of them you can just skip if you don't have them. This is what I like about this. It's gonna be very simple. Actually, will you help me? Great.
I'll wash up.
Ruben's gonna wash up. He's gonna help mix things. So I just have these salmon fillets. There's about each one is about 6 ounces, 2 fillets to a pound. I have 6 because we each kind of eat about 1. I also, just as Cantor Kates was working, I put this salad together for us, for Liz and I, or Liz and me, I guess it is. So we're gonna have this just with the salmon on top. And as we were waiting, I just salted. I did a little salt and pepper on the salmon. And so we are just gonna throw these spices together, right? Mm-hmm. So they're pretty fun. I'd say the one that most people don't use enough of that we think is fantastic is sumac. Do you wanna give a little taste of this? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. And what flavors emerge?
Well, I wouldn't say it's peppery, but it kind of tastes like it's a type of pepper. It's plain.
It's got a tang.
It's plain, but it has flavor.
Yeah, it's kind of plain. It has flavor. It's unusual. It's almost indescribable, but it has a very lemony flavor. It's really lemony, right?
Yeah, it's lemony.
And it's a little bit of a surprise, but you'll see most Persian food at the end, they're gonna sprinkle this on top. Even when you get Persian food takeout, they'll give you a little sumac package. We have a lot of those packages, but I encourage you to buy some fresh sumac. This was from Jordan Market. in Westwood. So Reuben, can you put this in? Put this in this big bowl here. So we have sumac, and then a new family favorite that we're really enjoying is what?
Smoked paprika.
Smoked paprika, super fun. It's really smoky. I don't know. It just makes us happy. Can you put this one in? And then there's sorry, go ahead.
For me, it smells like smoked fish.
It smells like smoked fish. And look, we love smoked fish in this house with capers and everything. Okay, so this is coriander, fresh ground coriander. Now look, if you have a grinder and you have the seeds, you can grind it up yourself. We use the pre-ground. We have kids, we're busy. We do the same thing with coffee. So we're not,
It's okay.
It's okay. We're doing our best. This is cumin, which obviously is a little more pungent and flavorful. You want to, ideally you want to be updating your spices every 6 months to a year. I think my rule of thumb is every 3 years, but more often the better, because it really does make a difference in how profound the flavor is.
I really like the smell of sumac.
Yeah, sumac is fantastic. And then this one, let's see if you can guess what this is by smelling. Cinnamon. He's a winner. He's a cinnamon winner. Here, you put this one in. And cinnamon, our kids will put it on everything, and actually Zeke will turn all red.
Yes,
sometimes.
He gets this rash a lot.
He gets a cinnamon rash, but he perseveres.
Is this the spice that made us sneeze?
So no. This last one is actually, light brown sugar. And this is a really nice thing to mix in, because as you are baking it, it will start to kind of melt and brown, and it gives a little kind of some sweet notes to counter the kind of strength, particularly of the cumin and the sumac. So we're just gonna put that in there, yep. And then I'm gonna get a fork for Reuben. And I'm gonna invite you just to stir that up. Yeah. We're just gonna stir this right up, and it's kind of actually fun, yeah. Reuben has to work with Zeke on getting a game ready. So we have it all here, and we're just gonna mix it up. And you'll see it basically becomes just a little bit of a rub. And again, I would say, I think I put in the directions that you can, the coriander, brown sugar, smoked paprika. If you don't have smoked paprika in your house, just skip it, it's fine. I think the essential ones are the sumac and the cumin and the cinnamon. I think it makes it they're a fun constellation of flavors to join together. And then this is really, really easy. You just have your tray. You can just put these bad boys down on your sheet. And I remember Sarah and I were both just in love and in awe of these pre-cut baking sheets. They just make everything a little bit easier. These little pre-cut parchment paper. She orders them online. She's like a little more together than me. I go to Ralph's. And then, let's see. And then you just sprinkle it on top. And if you have enough, you can do the sides. You don't really, you don't have to, nothing special happening here. Just a little sprinkling. If some goes over the end, that's okay. And we're gonna see, it's gonna make this really nice coating that will almost like it's, kind of like it's putting its face on for the night, my grandma used to say. Let me put my face on. This is like makeup for your salmon. And I'm just gonna give it a little bit of a rub, and I'm gonna give it a little working over on the sides also. There's always some that falls off on the sides. You can just kind of pat it down, and it should just look like this. Well coated. You don't want it to be too heavy. The flavors are strong. And let me just finish doing this. And let's just pause for a second. And Suhasini, will you assist and let us know if there's any questions people have about this mixture, about how we're doing it. And I have the oven, it's preheated to 350 degrees. And
all right. So far no questions, but Frima said that she had never thought of roasted cabbage until the last program and made it, and it was fantastic.
All right. See, that is victory. And in a sense, that is so much fun about hearing about what other people cook, because we kind of get into our little cooking ruts where we basically make the same thing all the time. And I'm not really a recipe person. So I just am always kind of throwing things together. So it's fun seeing what other people are doing. Just yesterday we had lamb shanks. I went to Petra, to the Jordan market and got some lamb shanks and threw them in the oven, in our Dutch oven, and it was amazing.
They also want to know what you think sumac tastes like, and where to buy sumac.
Yeah, so this sumac, I think most supermarkets sell it, but this sumac is from Jordan Market, which is just by the corner of Ohio and Westwood, on Westwood Boulevard in Westwood. It's a Persian market. Pretty nice people. They actually they have a number of things that I think are fantastic. I've said this before and I'll say it again, which is the French feta is actually kind of mind-blowingly delicious. It is not salty and it's so smooth and creamy. If you are not friends with French feta, friend it on Facebook and just reach out. That's where I got the sumac. They have actually great spices. They also have this amazing, I can't remember the name of it in Farsi, but it is like a smoked eggplant. It's like a baba ganoush, but it's like better. It's like somehow just more fantastic. Maybe somebody knows the name, you can put it in. They sell it at every Persian supermarket, most Persian restaurants, but it's extraordinary. And of course they have pomegranates. If you need anything pomegranate, they have it. You can buy the juice. It's $10 for a container about this big. You can buy pomegranates as large as my head. They have it already with the seeds out. You can get pomegranate strips. You can pomegranate like 17 different ways.
Judith Wiseman wants to know about your apron specifically. Now, I know that your mother bought that for you, but
yes,
she wants to know where she can get one because she thinks Jerry will like it.
Yeah, no, my mom is on. So mom, if you know where you got this, could you let Judy know in the chat? And I would just say my dad is a great griller and my kids are always telling me that I am pretty good, but I'm not quite at that level. So I think maybe she got this just to kind of like boost my ego a little bit when I'm face to face with the grill. All right, I'm gonna put this in. I hope that I hope that if you have more questions, please put it in the chat. And I'm gonna hand it off to the kind of minister of meat, Larry Sterling. Boom.
It looks like you're muted, Larry.
Yeah, you know what? You could pretend you talk and I'll just fill in the words. I'm so excited to bring you this method. I've been doing it for years.
How's that?
Okay, there.
Am I back?
Great.
Great. All right, so we are going to cook these filet mignons, and they are thick. They are about 2 inches thick. So now, normally, it's a tough thing to cook. You can cook it and you'll end up with the outside cooked and the inside raw. The idea is to get a nice medium pink throughout and then just a nice crust on the outside. So hopefully, are you seeing my second camera in the over here?
Yep,
right.
We got it.
So we're going to start off with just a little bit of salt, pepper, a little bit of olive oil. I'll do that again on both sides. The meat has been out of the refrigerator for about an hour. We want to bring it up to room temperature, or as close to room temperature as you can. Depending on how thick it is, it depends on how the ambient temperature is. It could take longer or shorter.
Hey, Larry, I don't want to
Yeah.
Why filet versus like a ribeye or a strip steak? That's
the thing is, you could do this for any kind of meat. What we're going to do is we're going to do this in a very slow and low way that relaxes the meat. And instead of hitting a hot grill or hitting hot temperature and it tenses up and then it becomes tough. So here we've got already a very tender cut of meat. However, what we're going to do is we're going to put it in a sauna. And we're going to very slowly bring up the temperature, and it's just going to be hanging out, relaxing, not realizing that I'm getting cooked. And we're not going to cook it all the way. We're just going to bring it all the way up to about 120 degrees internal temperature. And then we're going to sear it in a really hot cast iron pan.
Larry, does this strategy work on small humans?
No.
Larry, I love to be in a sauna. This sounds great for me.
Yeah. And
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these on a rack so that they've some air underneath them. And it's on a cookie sheet, so the juice doesn't go anywhere. But it's not going to have very much juice. It's all going to retain. So it's going to stay really nice and juicy. And what you want to do is, the best thing to use is a thermometer that has a probe, and that you can attach to the outside of your oven so you can keep an eye on it and see what the temperature is. Otherwise, you need to every now and then go and check the temperature of your meat. And depending on the thickness of the meat, it's going to take a different amount of time. So my oven is set at 200 degrees. I set a different temperature on the sheet, but do it at 200 degrees. And we're going to very slowly cook it. And what we're going to do is we're putting it into a cold oven and then allow it to slowly come up to temperature. And then it will take about 30 minutes or so for it to reach the 120 degree temperature. And then we'll take it out and we'll sear it. So we'll take the
That's cool. You know, I've just been hearing people who, when they cook garlic, they'll put it first in a cold pan and let the temperature warm up so the garlic doesn't burn as a strategy.
Right.
Also with chops, that sometimes people put the chop in a cold pan. Interesting.
Yeah. So here I'm going to, I've got the, let's see here. Here we go. And the probe is in the middle of the steak. It was just in one of them. And then I'll plug this into the thing and the thermometer. And so I'm going to put it into the oven. And while that's cooking, we're going to do some mushrooms and grill some mushrooms so we can put that on top. So
Mushrooms. Criminy mushrooms.
so we're going to heat up a bit of olive oil. Good amount, because we're going to use this kind of as a sauce afterwards.
Larry, it looks so artistic. That reminds me of thinking about some of the art shows we've had at LBT.
Well, yes, we have one coming up. That's going to be part of Heroes and Angels.
Oh my God.
So it's all going to be online, and you'll also have an opportunity to buy some of our LBT artists' art. And so, yeah. So I'm adding some chopped garlic.
That was like a silver platter.
I'm taking the temperature down. I started higher, but now I'm going to bring it down, kind of a lower setting. And I'm going to add sliced, you can see here, sliced mushrooms.
I love mushrooms.
Me too. It's one of my favorite veggies.
A lot of people that don't. My husband doesn't let me make.
And we just want to make sure everything's nicely coated.
You know what's so good? Have you guys had maitake mushrooms?
Oh, yeah.
They're so good. Like just some olive oil and throw them on the grill.
Yeah.
They're very, so meaty.
Salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper.
I'm using kosher salt.
It's a nice touch.
And a little bit of, actually I don't need that for here. And then also I've got this herbs of Provence that a friend of mine grows themselves. And so every year for the holidays, sends out a little package of dried herbs of Provence. And then I have an old grinder from someplace, and I put it inside, and then I can use it whenever I want.
It's so nice.
Grinds it up.
What was that?
Larry actually blew that glass.
No, nothing here again.
What was that?
That was herbs of Provence. So it's a combination of various French herbs basil, and various things. All right. So we're going to use this to cover the steak in the mushrooms. And then Terry, my wife, is a vegetarian or pescatarian. So she's going to put it over a baked potato later on.
That's what I am a
But my
pescatarian.
son and I are having steaks.
I love meat. We're talking about so many herbs. You know, I also do a salmon rub. Rabbi Ross just left the room. I don't know if he had cardamom. Mine is cinnamon and cardamom. And I love that spice too.
I'm going to add a little bit of wine.
Yeah. You know, my tofu, the onions called for white wine, but I had a red wine open. I was thinking that would be great too. I mean, red wine is good with onions. Rabbi Ross? Yep, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, Cantor Kates.
You heard me. I was saying that my salmon rub that I've used has cardamom. Did you have
Yum.
cardamom in yours or sumac probably?
No, I use cinnamon, but I also said nutmeg. You could do cardamom. I think that is I love cardamom in many things, particularly in coffee, but yeah, that's a great idea. I think the cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom profile is really nice with those other ones. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to take these out.
Larry, you're making me hungry.
Then I'm going to set these aside for the moment. And what I'm going to do is when the meat reaches 120 degrees, you pull it out of the oven and it looks something like this. So it's
A little higher.
it's still very soft and it's not browned on top or anything. So I'm
Hey,
going to bring
Larry.
the heat up on this pan.
Larry, you know what you're kind of doing? You're like doing kind of an ear sous vide. It's like doing kind of slow cooking, but instead of in water, you're doing it in the oven. It's like,
It is sous yes.
it's the old school of the new school.
It is. So I'm going to use a bit of peanut oil because it has a high smoking point. You can use grapeseed oil or peanut oil. They both are really good for high temperatures and better than the olive oil. Put a little bit in there. And you want this good and really, really, really hot.
I think that flavor of the peanut oil is so good. Actually, when I was in Bismarck, I think is it North Dakota or South Dakota? I can't remember. Anyways, I was in Bismarck and I was at a conference around disaster relief, and they served what they call Pitchfork Fondue, which is when they take a pitchfork and they weave these big steaks, and then they immerse the pitchfork into peanut oil, and they deep fry the steak. Just something to consider maybe next time on Sweet and Spicy. A lot of people are probably thinking, how can I make pitchfork fondue? Yeah.
All right, here we go. So then we're going to, now this is really good and hot, and we're going to do a quick, about a minute sear on either side. And because it's so thick, we can actually turn it on the edges as well and get a little sear on the edges. Now you can do a tri-tip this way. You could do a brisket you need a longer time to cook. So to help it get, because it's a tough piece of meat. So tri-tip also, you can go really, really slow and then just sear it at the end. You can do it that way. But it works, this technique though works great for ribeye, definitely for New York. It's fantastic. Right. This one.
That looks amazing. Can you guys smell that? Oh. Suhasini laugh. Thank you, Suhasini.
Are there any questions at all while I'm?
When are we coming for dinner?
Actually, I got to finish this up, and then there's an exec meeting right after this. So
All LBT all the time.
yeah.
At least you get a good meal.
So Larry, what is your draw to the filet? Tell me, I'm curious.
What was that again?
What's your draw to the filet? Why filet versus other?
Oh, it's just it's just buttery, and it's a good actually receptacle for sauces because it's not a super strong. It's not as meaty as a New York or something that has more fat in it. So those are a better tasting meat. But this is by far the most tender of the cuts.
Yeah.
So it's I've always liked it for some reason, but I move around to different cuts, So
All right.
and this I got actually at Costco, and we'll have good on that. Oh.
Larry, while you're doing that, we have a question in the chat for you.
Wait.
If you don't have a meat thermometer with a probe for checking the filet while it's in the
You
oven,
need a heat thermometer.
can you use an instant read thermometer?
Yeah, the instant read, or for the oven, I prefer to have. Let me show it to you. Hold on.
And how long after do you use that instant read thermometer? They want to know.
So
So many
the
questions.
thermometer looks like this, and this one has a 3-foot cord with a probe, and so I can put this in the oven and keep it in the oven. And you just put it through the oven door, and I just I tie a little rope on this, a string on this, so I can see what the temperature is outside. Some ovens, actually this one does, but I haven't used it, have a little probe. You can actually plug it in the oven so you can read the internal temperature. And so this is great to have for turkeys or any kind of poultry, things that you need to know the temperature, the internal temperature. And it tells you just right at the tip. It's a thermocouple. And so it works really, really great. So that's about it. I'm going to let it rest for a few minutes. And then when we all show our wares, I'm going to cut it open and finish it with a little Maldon finishing salt and put the mushrooms on it, and we'll be ready to go.
All right. You know what? We all rushed. We got through our things so fast and so early. And a lot of questions. Are there any more questions in the chat? Because I have separated mine, if you want to see. So I hope that you guys do try this, because I know that when people hear the tofu, you go like, tofu, ooh. But it really is delicious. And you know what? I decided instead of the mushrooms, I had a bag of spinach. So I plated it over some sauteed spinach with the tofu and the caramelized onion. How delicious does that look?
Yum.
It looks delicious.
Can you bring it closer to the camera?
I am coming there. You're
Possible. Like a really good, that's it. Look at that. Yum.
So, it's really beautiful. And because you've marinated the tofu, the tofu tastes like nothing unless you add marinade. So it's marinated for like 3 hours in garlic, cumin, soy sauce. It really, really has a lot of flavor. Here is Some people asked about how I fried them. That's about the color that you want and the texture that you want.
Cantor Kates, I forgot to ask, did you, when you take out the tofu, do you pat it dry first?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say exactly. I did pat the oil off a little bit, so yes, absolutely.
No, I mean before you season it. Like I find if you press, Liz taught me this. If you wrap it in a either paper towel or a towel, we're being more environmentally responsible, and then just kind of push and squeeze it out. It takes out some of the water, so then it absorbs more of the marinade.
Absolutely. So you always, after I take it out of, and I put more of this saran wrap, not saran wrap.
Yeah, the wrapper.
Yeah, not in water. I still will cut it and pat it with paper towels. I did also pat after I sauteed it, so I got some of the oil out too.
Amazing. All right, well, I'm going to show this. This is one of my favorite things about Sweet and Spicy is that we're able to get dinner ready for the family. And we'll be having this right here on a little salad. I use that salad dressing that we made together. I made some in bulk earlier in the week. And I call it when you do, we have radishes and carrots and cucumbers. Anytime you get a really colorful salad, I always call it a Geffany because Marilyn Geffany makes these amazing, colorful salads for after Minion, and I miss that salad. She always uses rainbow radishes. So I dedicate this salad to Marilyn Geffany. And, I think I know Larry is going to show us his plate. Larry, are you ready? There's so much happening over there.
Yeah.
You need more time? I feel like we're just stalling the big meat reveal. Is it happening? Is it happening? Oh, he's doing it. He's plating it.
I love eating all those wonderful things. My kids would not eat all of that stuff.
Can you see it?
There it is. Ooh.
That's
A little bit more to the right. Oh yeah! Wow, gorgeous.
Yep.
Yum.
Wow, Larry, looks amazing.
So it's a nice medium rare throughout, and then just has a nice crust around the sides instead of being all gray and then raw in the middle because it's such a thick cut. So you just very gently. This is basically a dry sous vide. So if you are familiar with sous vide, it's a water bath, and you do it the similar way. It takes slow and low, and then you sear it at the end.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Amazing, Carrie. Thank you so much. You are the master of the meat, the minister of fabulous protein, and we're so delighted. Cantor Kates always elevating us with a meat alternative. And, it's not even like an alternative. In some ways, I feel like meat is now, at least for many of us, the exception. So as we move towards kind of like thinking about what is sustainable, it's nice to have a meat as a treat, but to be kind of having a lot more fish and a lot more vegetables, a lot more salads, a lot more of Reuben and Zeke. And the main thing is we're hoping that, in this time where so many of us aren't able, I know we are very sad that we're not able to be with our family for Passover, that you do something, you make something for yourself that feels like a real treat and does not feel like a burden. Like we don't have to cook these big meals. We can just make really simple, delicious food that nourishes us. And so we hope that you guys all have just an amazing Passover that is fun. And if you don't know, we have a tradition at Leo Beck Temple of inviting people to our Seder table through the Elijah Initiative. So if you are doing an online Zoom Seder and you want to invite people, you can let us know. An email will go out on Monday. And if you're looking for a place, if you're not going to be able to be with your family and they don't want to Zoom and you want to just like be with a new experience, you can also join us through the Elijah Initiative and let us know, and we will match you with someone so that you will you'll at least be with them over the course of the Passover Seder for Zoom. And we are also super excited to have a number of different programs that we'll be doing on second night, a meditation, a music piece, and some learning. So there's going to be lots of opportunities to be in community, to be together, and to hopefully as a community move out of a place of constriction to a place of liberation. So thank you again, all of you, for being with us. Thank you again for Larry for his wisdom, and Cantor Kates and Suhasini for so skillfully being our master or mistress of ceremony. I don't know what the right term is, our MC.
I'll take master, it's fine.
Okay, master of ceremony. And so great to be with all of you in early Hag Sameach. A distant Pesach.
And may your month be sweet and
Spicy.
Larry, love it. Thank you.
all right, you guys. Join us next month.